Hey guys, and welcome back. How are you guys doing? I forgot to light my little candle back here. So I'm going to do that real quick. I got this little candle. It's an October candle. I don't know. It's October, so we're going to light it. But welcome in, everybody. Let me sit this back here without burning my hair. It sets the mood. I don't know. I like it. So welcome into the chat, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Nights Live. It's Saturday. Oh, Aries, that's awesome. And you went to Comic. I didn't even, you said you were going to Comic-Con. I forgot about that. Oh, that sounds like fun. I bet that was a lot of fun. Well, look at everybody. You just go live and they'll come, Everyone's coming into the chat. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see you guys. I feel like today went by so slow. I was ready to get on the live. I should have I still needed to be at 8:15, but because I was still looking at stuff, but I probably could have came on a little bit earlier today. Ohio State did win today. Yeah, I know. Vincent told me that. So we are going to be starting a new case tonight too. So it's a new day, Saturday. So I hope everyone's having a great weekend. I hope you guys had a great week. Oh, what happened? Oh my gosh. You have the popo there, Ashley, making a report because I fired someone and coincidentally someone broke in the garage and robbed me blind. Oh my gosh. Coincidentally. Yeah. And the officers, they don't like coincidences either. They don't like them. Man, that's awful. That's really awful. I hate I hate people like that, But when things like that happen, though, I feel like it always comes back like tenfold for that person in a bad way, karma, and then tenfold in a good way for the person that it happened to. I always feel like that ends up being okay, like in the end. Like you're gonna get your stuff back. I hope you at least get your stuff back, because it's hard to get stuff back once it's been like stolen, and like if they don't get it, recover it right away. But at least you know who it is. I know where I'm from. Like where I grew up, if someone's car got broken into, it was like, don't even make a report, because it was like nothing could be done. I remember back when like CD players were a thing, you'd get like your CD player put into your car. I'm a little bit older. I feel like that's really telling my age, but they would always get their CD player stolen. And that was just like terrible. Yeah, you reap what you sow. Yep, Deb, you're right. You're very right. I have a million tabs open today, so it's going to be a good live. And I got Nancy back there. She's going to help me out tonight. So let me go ahead and go over to my notes. If you guys don't mind, just taking a second to like the video, it'll send it out into the algorithm, and then I'll be happy with that. And then more people will come into the chat and they'll chat with you guys as well. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. You do, Ashley? So is it work and your camera's working? Cameras are working? That's good. People always get caught. They always do. They really do. Speaking of which, Caitlin, the one we're going to be talking about tonight, she tried to leave. She tried to escape twice. And the woman about did it this last time. She about got away from that cop. But I'm going to go ahead and put the membership for the channel in the chat before we get started, so I don't forget. And I'll put it throughout the live if anyone wants to join our channel membership. We normally do lives on Sundays. We've been doing them. We were doing them once a week, but now we're starting to do them like once a month. And then once we get more members, we'll do bi-weekly. And then once we get more members than that, we'll do them weekly. Oh, good, Liz. Well, welcome on in, everybody. I'm glad you guys are here. And Terry, yes. Yes, she suggested. So last night in the live, I was like, who suggested this case? I couldn't remember who it was last night. And I was like, because I had 2 new cases open. Well, I had the Caitlin case, Caitlin, this case open. And then I had another case open with a missing person. And there wasn't a whole lot. There's nothing to go on other than like one article about this missing girl. So I'm waiting to, kind of figure out more. And then the girl that her body burnt, there's only like a couple of news articles for her. I can't find any coverage yet. So we might do that one tomorrow, even though it might just be like a shorter live, but we'll do maybe like a couple updates as well. So But yeah, so Terry, she recommended this. And when I went back and I looked at the picture of the girl, of Caitlin, I was like, she looks so dang familiar. And then I started reading and I was like, oh yes. Oh yes. We didn't cover this one on the channel though. It was before I started true crime, like officially, I think started true crime. But we could have went back. I don't know why we didn't. But I remember her being in the like on the news and stuff. I just saw like mainstream coverage of it. So I didn't get to hear half of the stuff that I heard, like just, reading today, reading through the court documents, which I've got like all the rest, like affidavits and stuff like that. I was reading through those and there's just a lot. This lady's doing the mostest. She doesn't want to go to jail. She doesn't want to stay in jail anyway. So put a 1 in the chat if you guys have heard of this case. If you've heard of the this case at all, Caitlyn Armstrong, or put a 2 in the chat if you have no clue what's going on and you're just here because it's alive. Either way, I love it. So if you know about the case, put a 1, and then if you don't know, put a 2, and then I'll get my notes together and we'll go from there. Because I love it whenever people don't know about the case and you guys just come. I love that. Oh, I love that. Well, good. Well, good. And if you guys know things that I don't know, just let me know, but we're going to cover this within, more than one live. Of course, we couldn't get the whole story with just one live, but I did want to get it started because she's going to be going to trial October 30th. She's supposed to be starting her trial. That is if she's able to now because she tried to escape again. So. Okay. So it's about, we got about even, about a lot more juice, I think, actually, more juice. Well, cool. I like that. Jan, you put a 2 in there. Did you put a 2? I think, okay. Well, looky there. Well, thank you, Aries. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate that. Oh, look at your cat. It's so black I couldn't even see it. I thought it was a shadow or something at first. Oh, that's a cute cat. You guys all have like animals. I love that. And I don't have mine with me tonight. She left. She was back there earlier and then she left me. So on tonight's live, like I said, we're going to be covering a new case, but this one we're going to cover it a little bit different than we normally cover our cases. So usually when we start a new case on the channel here, we'll go like timeline first, and then we'll go from beginning to like present, time that we're at now. But with this case, we're going to do updates and then go back to the timeline and then kind of go back to the beginning. It's just it's going to be a little different, but it makes sense in my head. It'll make sense to you guys as well. But before we do that, let me pull up the people that we're going to be talking about tonight. So you guys have a face to a name because there's just a few different people. Let me see here. We'll just share it like this. I always try to share this and I need to figure out how to do it in present view because mine it does something weird. I don't know. So let me pull this up here. And thanks again for the super sticker. That was so sweet. Thank you so much. Spirit said 1. Okay, cool. Be happy said 2. Awesome. Okay, so Caitlyn Armstrong, age 35, is going to be the person that we're going to be talking about probably the most tonight. But she is the suspect in this case. She's been in jail, I believe, since June of 2020. And then you have her longtime boyfriend of 3 years, although they did break up for a couple of weeks in October. And this is Colin Strickland, and he's 36. And then Anna Moriah Wilson, age 25. And this is going to be the other woman, we'll say. I don't like to call her that, but we're going to say the girlfriend, the other girlfriend. And then you'll hear this name as well, Caitlin Cash. And this is a picture of Caitlin and her age. I don't know her age, so I just put age unknown. I couldn't find anything about it online. So she's just the person that Anna was staying with. So that's why she's kind of, thrown in the mix there. So let me go ahead and go back. I have like all kinds of good stuff to show you guys today, I feel like. I have been working nonstop. I feel like I'm like going to be melted into this chair before too long. Let's see here. Okay. So basically, let me go back and give you guys a better, get the picture on there. This is going to be Caitlyn Armstrong. She is she is currently being held in jail at the Travis County Correctional Complex in Austin, Texas, for the murder of Anna Moriah. Mo is her name, Mo Wilson. If you were, I may refer to her as Mo because that's what people referred to her as. When she was charged with the crime, she fled to Costa Rica before being caught and brought back. She was caught by the U.S. Marshals, extradited back. She even went as far as to get plastic surgery to change her appearance. She decided that jail was not for her again because our girl, Kaitlin here, she decided to make another escape attempt. She made that a reality. So she actually had been planning this. Oh, I didn't realize it was off of there. Actually didn't, we didn't know until today. I didn't know until today that she had been planning this escape attempt for months. But by the looks of it, she was ready. She was a pro. Like she was running. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but we're going to watch it. We're going to watch the footage together because it's good. Let me, and I'll pause it because I have it through court. I'm going to play it through court TV so you guys can get a little background too. But, and then we're going to go back over the timeline so you guys will be able to get to know what the case is about. So I figured we're going to start with her escape attempt because it's kind of hilarious because she got caught and the cop falls down like 3 times. Like, I don't mean to laugh, but I kind of do. Even Nancy laughs about it. Like she was making fun of the cops and I was laughing at her, the podcast I was listening today because it's crazy. So now someone tell me this though. Now, is she both pictures here? Because I'm trying to find the picture where her nose looks like it's been done. I can't tell. Am I the only person that can't really tell that she got a nose job? She might want to get her money back. Because I've had 2 surgeries where I've had to have before my car accident, I had 2 on my nose. And you could tell a difference, I feel like. Mine was just like nasal stuff though, but I don't know. She's the one that had the plastic surgery. Yep. And begged for a job in Costa Rica. She was a yoga teacher. So, and very athletic as well. Very athletic. So, is this it? Yeah. Okay. This one's it. This is going to be her escape attempt. So we'll watch this. It's like 8 minutes long. It's Vinny from Court TV. And I'm going to pause it here and there, just when she goes to run, because I want you guys to see her go. So apparently what happened was, and I'll give you a little rundown. She convinced the jail officials in Texas, mind you. This is in a Texas jail. So this girl's good. She convinced them that she needed to be taken outside of the jail to be seen by by a doctor, but somebody in the jail, a doctor in the jail couldn't see her. Like she needed a specialist or something. So she convinced them that she needed a specialist to look at her leg, and there's nothing wrong with her leg. So they didn't have her shackled. I don't know if maybe she did something to where she was like, no, my leg hurts so bad. Please don't shackle me. I don't know. But she did something to where they didn't have her shackled at the legs. But I believe that she was handcuffed. And she scales a wall. I mean, she's like out like trout. She's not ready to go to jail. She doesn't want to be there. Her trial is starting October the 30th. So it's coming up in a couple weeks. And they said they may need to postpone it because if she did get if she has to have a mental evaluation now done, something like along those lines. So maybe either way, she was hoping it would be extended. Maybe she'd either get away. Maybe she thought she'd get away. Or she thought, this would help get her case postponed a little bit longer. Because who wants to be told they're going to jail for the rest of their life? Like, I wouldn't. I'd want to postpone that. I'd be Brian Kohlbergering it up all day long. I'd be maybe an alibi, not an alibi, just driving around. I want more discovery, I'm going to go, I want to go to trial. Nope, just kidding. One of those deals. I would just but that would be me. I'd be petty. But that's the problem. That's why I don't go kill people, because I can't handle jail. But yeah, she scaled the wall. Yeah, she scaled the wall, y'all. When I saw that the other day, I was like, oh my lordy, we gotta have to cover this one now. Thank you, Terry, for telling me about this too.
I'm here to announce that Caitlyn Armstrong was captured on June 29th by foreign officials in the Republic of Costa Rica, where she was detained on an immigration violation and deported back to the United States on July 2nd. On July 5th, the Austin Police Department extradited Armstrong from the Harris County Jail in Houston, Texas, to the Travis County Jail here in Austin, Texas, following a 43-day fugitive investigation.
Now to what's trending in true crime, my friends. Oh, Caitlyn Armstrong is back in the headlines this morning.
I lied. It's Julie Grant. I'm so sorry, Julie. I said Vinny Politan was on this one, but he's on this other one I was watching today about her. So sorry, Julie. This lady's the nicest in news anchors. I don't care who you are. If you say anyone's nicer than Julie Grant, we're going to have to fight, because this woman is like the sweetest.
Morning after police say she tried to escape their custody in Texas on Wednesday. We've got the video of it. Look at this. This video that was taken by Teresa Rangel. Armstrong can be seen running. Look at her in her prison garb, running toward a fence. Police chasing behind her. Officers eventually were able to catch up with her and then take her.
Did anyone see the cop? Did anyone see the cop, though? Like, you got to watch the officer. Because whenever we get to the Nancy Grace podcast, it's a podcast version, so I won't be able to show you this part again. Like, well, I will if you guys want to see it, but I just think she's out. She's gone. She's gone.
Taken by Teresa Rangel. Armstrong can be seen running. Look at her in her prison garb, running toward a fence. Police chasing behind her. Officers eventually were able to catch up with her and then take her back into custody. All after several minutes of chasing the accused killer. She was brought back in, and as we remember, let's go back to June of 2022. That's when this all happened. The first time she was taken into custody, that was after being on the run for a month. She was grabbed in Costa Rica. This following the death of Moriah Wilson. Caitlyn Armstrong is facing a first-degree murder charge. In that case, her trial is set for October 30th. So this morning, we're asking our legal eagles, is Armstrong going to face more charges? Got a great panel joining me this morning. Still with me, trial attorney and law professor Dante Mills, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Joe Tamburino, and criminal defense attorney Michael J. Brown. Good morning to you all. Thanks for being with us. Joe Tamburino, would you start us off, please? What do you think?
Yeah, she's going to be facing more charges. There's no doubt about that. Additionally, we all talk about, the consciousness of guilt, and a lot of that plays into criminal trials. And I'm sure the prosecutor is going to use that in this kind of a situation. Additionally, there's the whole ruse of it all, which is, she was supposed to go on this medical appointment. Who knows if that was even valid or true? And then she splits. So, yeah, that's going to come up in her trial.
Right. I mean, did she think they wouldn't catch her? Oh, Michael J. Brown, what are your thoughts on this morning, please?
Good morning, Julie. Yeah, the prosecutor is going to be salivating at this type of evidence. You have her literally running from correction officers. You have a...
Y'all, I thought I was losing my mind earlier when I listened to this, because I listened to it like twice. I thought that was, do you hear the crickets in the background? Or am I really going nuts? Like, listen to the audio. I think somebody has cricket, like they're outside or they're near a window, and you can hear the crickets in the background. Like, because when Julie asked a question, like when her volume stopped, you could hear the crickets. So, I mean, unless I'm going crazy, but I don't think, not yet.
Caption on a video. As Joe said, this is what we call consciousness of guilt. It's actually a jury charge in New York where the judge can instruct the jury that you can infer a guilty conscience from those actions, and it's coupled with her fleeing initially in the investigation to Costa Rica. So you put those two things together, juries really look and frown down upon that type of conduct, and they definitely use it in their evaluation.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Michael. Yeah, it's like the judge now has two reasons to grant that instruction for the state of Texas, the flight in Costa Rica and then the flight in Texas. Dante Mills, last but not least, tell me what you're thinking, please.
It's a little difficult, but I'm going to take the other side on this one.
It's Dante.
Of your amazing show.
Oh, no, we love it. We love
the
that.
second time that she tried to escape.
It's Dante. Dante, what are you doing, dude? Where are the crickets at, buddy?
She even had plastic surgery that shows the length she would go to. She also led these police officers on a 10-minute chase that shows she's still in shape from being a yoga instructor. But here's what I would say if I'm faced with that jury charge and these facts. I would say, listen, she didn't believe in the system. She felt she was being treated unfairly, that she wouldn't have a fair opportunity to present her case, that everybody treated her like she was guilty, and she felt like she had no choice but to try and get away because she did not believe that she would get a fair trial, and she didn't believe in the system. That's the only really argument that you can make when you have someone on video running away from officers.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up, Dante. Thank you for that. I want to pick all of your brains some more about this because now her attorneys, you know, they're waking up this morning going, oh my gosh, like, did you have to run? So she's been in custody since June of 2022. She was on the run, as we know, prior to that, after the death of Moriah Wilson. When she was initially arrested, U.S. Marshals, they got her, and U.S. Marshal Brandon Filla was asked to describe Armstrong's demeanor after they grabbed her up. Let's take a look at what he said.
How was her attitude? Did she seem compassionate? Did she seem sorry? Or?
You know, speaking with the foreign nationals there in Costa Rica, I'd say she was exhausted. You could tell eventually, you know, when she was encountered by uniformed officers in Costa Rica, she didn't give her true identity at first. But when she was taken into custody and questioned, you know, minutes later, then she finally confessed to her true identity. So I think that was her beginning to come forward, but it took a little bit of time.
Oh, okay. So she's not helping herself out here. So with this new attempt, what are these attorneys going to have to do? Because we know the prosecutors are going to say flight as consciousness of guilt, as my esteemed guests have said this morning. Let me bring them back in. Joe Tamburino, back to you on this one, putting on your criminal defense attorney hat and dovetailing off of what Dante started us with here. What are the defense attorneys going to try to do to combat this, please?
Well, what they'll likely do is get some type of mental health evaluation because, you know, if the facts aren't on your side, and in this case, they clearly aren't, and you've got aberrant behavior that you have to explain, you're going to have to get some type of an evaluation because if something comes out of that you could use, you'll use it. If not, well, then you're just going to have to deal with the cards that you've been given.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Mental health evaluation, good place to start. Michael J. Brown, tell us what, if anything, you have to add to that, please.
Well, I agree with the professor in the sense that when somebody flees like that and you have them dead to rights, so to speak, you have to explain it. And the reason being is, hey, I don't have faith in the system and I had no alternative but to flee. The difference, I think, here is initially I get that explanation when she went to Costa Rica because you don't know how people react when they're under suspicion for something they say they didn't do. But now you're in custody and we see it on the screen. I mean, she's doing a 50-yard sprint here. It's a tough one. And it's definitely different than like the OJ case, for instance. Again, initially where the allegation pops up, this is much further down the road in terms of time. It's problematic for the defense.
Definitely is. Well said, Michael. Dante Mills, take us home if you would, please, my friend. Your final thoughts on this point. What more can the defense team do for Caitlyn Armstrong?
Listen, Hail Mary, because this is a very difficult case. Hail Mary is maybe try to get that video kept out somehow where the jury does not see her making that 50-yard dash and leaping for the fence in prison clothes. Honestly, this is a very tough case, and she made it even tougher for herself. We can try and be defense attorneys and say, you know, she didn't believe in the system, she felt trapped, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, even get a mental health evaluation, but we would have to show that her time in prison when she was under observation, that she was doing things that showed mental health issues. You can't just say, I had a burst of mental health, a lapse when I decided to run, but otherwise I've never shown anything for this over a year period when I was in custody. So it's a very tough case, and she made it even tougher. As her defense attorneys, I'm shaking my head and asking for a bigger retainer.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it. They deserve it, definitely, with this client. Dante Mills, Michael J. Brown, wonderful.
She's just the kindest person ever. So if you weren't here in the beginning of the live, I'm doing things a little differently on this live. Normally when we start a new case, I'll go from the beginning and I'll do a timeline for you guys. And then we'll usually do like a video, and then we'll do like a deep dive if you guys, if the live goes well and you guys like the case, which I've never quit a case. So if you guys don't like this case, we're still going to be trucking forward because that's what we do over here. But so you're going to hear more about the victim and stuff, and that's what's coming up now. So what we did was we did her update first, because I knew that if I came on here and I said Caitlyn Armstrong, there would be probably 50 people in the chat saying, "Hey, do you see that she tried to escape?" So I figured we're gonna address the elephant in the room first, which is her and her escaped attempts. And then we're going to go back and we're going to start to learn about the case. So now I can kind of, because I knew that a lot of you guys probably knew about this case and knew about like the plastic surgery part, knew that she had, ran to Costa Rica, but now we're going to put it on a nice little bow for you. I'm going to try to anyway. I just got to get my glasses on. Okay. So let me pull this back up. It was that little timeline I was showing you, where the pictures were earlier. So in the beginning, I told you guys this is Caitlyn Armstrong. This is a picture of her, age 35. Her longtime boyfriend. They were, like I said, split up for a couple weeks, supposedly in October. This is Colin Strickland, age 36. And then Anna Moriah Wilson, age 25, which I didn't learn about her age. I know this is backwards too. It's really weird, but I didn't. Oh, my picture's not on here. I'm not even on the screen. But I didn't know about Anna's age until later on today. Like, I don't know why I normally get, names and ages first, but I just assumed that she was their age. They were all the same age, but there's a 10-year age difference between Anna and then, Anna and then Caitlyn and Colin. So it's just, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that there was that big of an age difference. So we'll go through the timeline here. I'm just going to pull it up like this, because I swear when I do it in present view, it takes the whole screen sometimes. As long as you guys can see it. Because I think I did that one time and you guys couldn't see it. And I was like, oh no. Now there we go. Let's see. If you guys can see it and everything, we'll do it like this. And then this is Caitlyn, and this is going to be the girl that Anna was staying with. And so you'll hear her name throughout the case as well, especially if we go into the PCA that they have for her. So let me make sure that's like pulled up. This is like a couple seconds behind. I don't know why it does that. Look, it's even timing me at the top. Can you guys see it okay? Like, can you see the picture, or is it in, like, I don't know, it's being weird. Oh, because I have to share this one with you. That's why. Sorry about that. We're learning today. Okay, we're going to learn. Yeah, it'll all come together, I promise. I don't know why this isn't like showing for you guys. It is showing, but on my, okay, that was weird because over there it wasn't showing. Now I don't know what to do. Okay. We'll just do it like this. So late afternoon, May 11th, I'm just going to share this one with you like this. This is going to be easier. Anna Wilson texts a friend at whose home she was staying to say she is going to go swimming with Colin. The friend goes home, and I'm going to show you on a map where they are in where they are close to each other, you know. So number one on the map here is going to be their home, is going to be the house where where they were staying. At 5:30 p.m., and I'm going to use their last names through this, so I'll be referring to them by their last name. Wilson's host leaves the apartment to go to dinner with other friends. So that's so Anna's friend Caitlin Cash leaves the apartment to go to dinner with friends. On the way out, she sees that Wilson has left a bike travel bag on the porch outside the second floor unit. She briefly goes back inside to remind Wilson to bring it in. And then at 5:45, Strickland's estimation of the time he arrived on his motorcycle to take Wilson to the pool. So they're going to go to the pool together. So at 5:55 p.m., the keypad at the friend's home registers that it has been locked. And that evening, and this is a picture of the actual pool, Strickland and Wilson are at Deep Eddy swimming pool. And then at an adjacent pool burger. And I have a picture of that place too. It's just like a hamburger joint. So they, from one, I think it was to two, yeah. So they went from over here, near Chestnut, like on 17th, I believe it was. And they went over to the Deep Eddy's pool. At 8:16 p.m., Strickland and Wilson leave Pool Burger on his motorcycle. So they're together, and Caitlin is, we don't, at this moment in time, we really don't know where she's at. But at 8:26 p.m., a vehicle identified as Armstrong's Jeep Grand Cherokee is seen driving around the block where Wilson is staying. And that's a picture of her car that they had. And she doesn't know why. What? I must have messed that up. Let me see here. How did I mess that up? Sorry. Let me exit out that. I messed that up, I think. Well, that's not cool. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Things aren't perfect when you're on a live sometimes. Things are just not perfect all the time. No, I forgot to put the Wilson's entry code. So at 8:36 p.m., stop telling me to rate my experience. The keypad at a friend's home registers Wilson's entry code. So that's at 8:36. Oops, sorry. At 8:36, Strickland stops at the end of the alley after dropping off Wilson and sends Armstrong a text message telling her he is on his way home. So he drops off Anna, I'm going to call her Mo. He drops off Mo at her friend's house. Then as he's driving home, he's texting Caitlin saying, I'm on my way home. He does not say that he's been with Wilson, instead claiming he had been to drop off flowers for a friend of the couple's and that his phone had died. That ain't cool, buddy. Just not cool. That's not cool. At 8:37 p.m. So that's at 8:36, he's texting Caitlin. At 8:37, Caitlin's Jeep is seen on a street next to Wilson's friend's home. So she's like, I already followed you, buddy. Now, I wonder how long she had been following him. I'm guaranteeing that they were at the pool and she was there just waiting for them to leave, like the burger joint. Because that's all within a minute, like a couple minutes. Yeah, he was stepping out on her. Oh, good Lordy. But, that's just how people be sometimes, I guess. Not me. Between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m., Wilson's friend's landlord, who lives in the larger home on the property, goes into the garage, which is beneath the rental unit. While he is there, he hears what he believes is someone running down the stairs from the apartment to the alley. From beneath the partly raised garage door, he sees a bicyclist southbound in the alley. The only item later determined to be missing from the apartment is Wilson's bike. It is found concealed in vegetation about 20 yards south. And I couldn't find a picture of the bike, so maybe that's all still sealed and like sealed from the public. But I couldn't find a picture of it. Did I say it wrong? Did I say something wrong? I hope I did it. I hope I didn't because Wiss said Caitlyn Armstrong, Mo Wilson. Did I say it backwards? I hope I did it. 8:43 p.m. Strickland's estimation of the time he arrived at his home in the East Congress neighborhood, and that's going to be the last place on the map here that I show you. And it's down here. So he went from 1, 2, and then he went back down to East Congress, I believe it was called. About 7 miles from Wilson's friend's home, surveillance video from a nearby car dealership indicates he passed by a few minutes later at 8:48 p.m. Around that time, he said he sent Armstrong a second text message. So I guess she didn't answer him the first time, didn't answer him the second time. And at 9:21 p.m., Strickland sends Armstrong a third text message. Shortly after that, he told police she drove up in the Jeep. And this is just going to get us through the first night, by the way. And then I'm going to read a small article. So at 9:54 p.m., this is when Wilson's friend returns home. So Mo's friend returns home. The bike travel bag is now at the bottom of the stairs, and the apartment door is unlocked. Inside, she finds Wilson on the bathroom floor, covered in blood. At 9:56 that night, Wilson's friend calls 911 and begins performing CPR. And at 10:10, Wilson is pronounced dead after police arrive. So that just kind of gets us through, just gets you a little bit of the background. And we're going to get some more too, because now it's going to go more by dates instead of by times. And I did find this article. I thought it was pretty interesting read. And I don't think we need to read the top of it. Yeah, no, we didn't need to. Just this part here. Here is what we know about the case. And she was actually shot too. And I do have the probable cause affidavit. If you want, we can read over that on the next live for sure. Because, there's just more and more stuff that we can go over. I just wanted to kind of get her case known over here on this channel and, get a few videos and some a timeline kind of established. And then that way we can go back into the timeline and, put in more things, because there's just a lot of things. So on May 11th, the day of the killing, Wilson told her friend she was going for an afternoon swim with Strickland days before the Gravel Locos race in Hico. Am I saying that right? Hico. Where she was staying with a friend, according to arrest affidavit filed in Travis County District Court. I can't remember how I heard that pronounced earlier. Strickland told investigators after they swam, he and Wilson got dinner, and then he dropped her off at her friend's home. He said he did not go inside, the affidavit shows. Austin police responded to the home later that evening, shortly before 10 p.m., and found Wilson with multiple gunshot wounds. She was pronounced dead at the scene. On May 12th, the Travis County Medical Examiner's autopsy of Wilson's body determined the official cause of death to be multiple gunshot wounds, and the manner of death was a homicide. Within 24 hours of Wilson's death, officers from the Lone Star Fugitive Task Force apprehended Armstrong in connection with an unrelated arrest warrant and spoke to her. However, Austin police said they then learned Armstrong's arrest warrant was not valid and told her she was free to leave. I think it was because I heard that the birth date was wrong on the arrest affidavit. And I mean, you couldn't just get some whiteout for that? I don't know. I heard it was I read or heard today. It was like her birthday year or something, I thought. But let me know in the chat if you remember, if you guys have heard that. Yeah, she was chased down in that house, Mo was. That's so sad. And it's so crazy because she probably, she was so strong. Like, that's so sad. But you can't outrun a bullet, that's so sad. On May 13th, Armstrong sold her black Jeep Grand Cherokee to a Carfax dealership in South Austin for $12,200. She was given a check by the dealership a day after being questioned by Austin authorities, according to the U.S. Marshal's Office. On May 14th, Armstrong was at Austin International Bergstrom Airport early in the afternoon. There, she boarded a flight to Houston Hobby Airport, where she took a connecting flight to LaGuardia Airport in New York. The Austin Police Department said in a news release that the shooting did not appear to be a random act. On May 17th, the police issued a homicide warrant for Armstrong. The affidavit for her arrest points in part to video surveillance obtained by investigators that shows a vehicle similar to hers near the home shortly before Wilson's body was found. Armstrong was seen on May 18th at Newark Liberty International Airport, according to the U.S. Marshals. However, no reservations were made under her name, the Marshal said, citing a search of outbound flights at the airport. A May 19th arrest affidavit filed by police in Travis County District Court reveals that Strickland admitted to trying to hide his communications with Wilson from Armstrong by changing Wilson's name on his phone and deleting text. The affidavit cites a tipster who alleged Armstrong came to believe Strickland and Wilson's romantic relationship was ongoing as of January 2022. Armstrong had contacted Wilson several times and in one instance told her to stay away from Strickland, one of Wilson's friends told investigators, according to the affidavit. On May 25th, authorities obtained a separate federal warrant for Armstrong for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution, the U.S. Marshal said, upgrading the search for Armstrong to major case status. This is when she took off. The same day, Strickland is quoted by the Austin American-Statesman as saying that he had a brief romantic relationship with Wilson from late October to early November 2021 while he was separated from Armstrong. Strickland and Armstrong. Hold on, let's go over that really quick because, this is what I don't get, and that's just me. When I was reading about this case, Colin, okay. Colin and Kaitlin had been dating for 3 years. They break up for 2 weeks and he already has another girlfriend that fast? To where they're going to the pool together, they're getting dinner together? Or there's something we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, he was telling her something and like he was saying that he wasn't with Kaitlin. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, how do you go from it being in a 3-year committed relationship to single and in another relationship for like a couple weeks and then you guys break up and then you're back with the other person again? I just don't get it. And why would she take him back? You know what I mean? Like, Kaitlin, dummy, why would you go shoot a girl for that? Like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? And why, like, Mo, you were so much better than that. Like, she was, oh my gosh, she was gorgeous and talented. Like, wow. Very talented. On May 25th, I read that part, sorry. Strickland and Armstrong reconciled and resumed their relationship about a month later, he told the paper. His relationship with Wilson then became platonic and professional, and he considered her a close friend. No, not a day in my life. I'm not like, I mean, if like, I don't, that's just, woo, yeah, he's a player. Hey, Ilana. Yeah, I mean, for him, and I kept looking at his pictures today too. I'm like, this guy. These, because they both look like they're smart girls. They're beautiful, smart girls. They look like they are. I mean, like, we know that Mo is, but I'm going to give Kaitlin the benefit of the doubt. She looks like she, she figured out how to get out of the jail and almost escape. But she decided for that guy, man, I don't know. Y'all know. But I did get a Court TV. This is where I saw Vinny earlier today. It's like 30 minutes long. It's just like this little gives you a timeline over the case. It kind of goes over the case in more details and stuff like that. So I thought we would go over, like, listen to this, and then I'll play Nancy Grace's newest podcast she just came out with over Kaitlin trying to run, because it was good. It was good comedic relief. We needed it today. I needed it today while I was in the store shopping. I was like, oh no, Nancy, you didn't just say that, because she was just, being Nancy. So I want to I might have to get some more pictures of her. I think I have some more on my computer. I'll have to do some more stuff. But I'll play this video. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, if you appreciate the coverage and you guys aren't subscribed to the channel and you'd like to subscribe, we'd like to have you. And I'll be in the chat with you guys. And I believe this is the one with Vinny. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I have a couple videos up, and Nancy's been covering this for like the last year and a half that's been going on. She's been covering it for a while. So we'll be able to play a few different I think she did like 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 different videos on it. So we'll be able to kind of review those. And then, we can read over the probable cause affidavit as well. Cause it's about, I think it's like 10 pages and it looked pretty detailed. So I think that would be a good read too. And thank you guys for being here.
Anna Moriah Mo Wilson was a professional cyclist, one of the fastest women in the world on 2.
There's not very many women out there that can pull off a bicycle helmet. And let me tell you, your girl Mo, she could do it. She could do it.
Wheels. In May of 2022, she was staying with a friend named Caitlin Cash in Texas before a big race. While she was there, she also spent some time with a man named Colin Strickland, who is also a competitive cyclist. At the time, Colin was living with his girlfriend, Caitlyn Armstrong. On May 11th, Colin picked up Mo on his motorcycle and they went swimming. Later that night, Mo was found by her friend, Caitlin Cash, dead from multiple gunshot wounds. Police interviewed Colin Strickland, Caitlin Cash, and Caitlyn Armstrong. They have filed murder charges, and tonight they are searching for an alleged killer who has fled Texas. Tonight, we take a look at the suspect, the motive, and the nationwide search for a fugitive.
I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And we're going to dive deep into this story. It's incredibly tragic, but it is still an active investigation and a search for an alleged killer. I want to begin tonight. You know, if you've been watching me for years, that when I was growing up, addicted to not court TV, crime shows, cop shows, detective shows. And one thing was always very common, right? When the detectives are investigating the case and you're trying to figure it out, the other detectives are like, what's your motive? What's your motive? What do you got for a motive here? It's such an important question. And when I got to court TV and started covering trials around the country, 2 things about motive. One, I know as a prosecutor, you don't have to prove it, right? But it's so important. It is so important, a motive, because it uncovers so much about a case, right? You're trying to figure out, well, who would want this person dead? Why would they want them dead? And you've got to peel back the layers of their lives to figure out exactly what was going on. Who are the people connected to the victim? And do they have a reason for taking that life? Now, there are classic motives that we see all the time. The first one, it's all about the Benjamins, right? We're talking about money. Money is a motive. Seen it many times on court TV, whether it's an insurance policy, business partners, or just a plain robbery. The motivation for the murder was monetary, to get your hands on some money. And it's an old motive, but it's very persuasive inside a courtroom. Extremely persuasive and very common. The other one, even more common here on court TV. It's all about relationships. And someone is cheating on someone. And that cheating heart breaks another heart. and someone lashes out. Sometimes the person who is cheating is the one who has to, okay, I'm in the middle of all of this. I've got to get rid of one because I want to be with the other. Sometimes it's the person who's being cheated on that gets angry and bitter and may go after the lover or may go after their own spouse or partner. Seen it so many times on court TV. It's an old motive. Again, extremely persuasive in the courtroom because people understand it, they can relate to it, and we've seen it so many times. And as we begin tonight talking about what happened to Mo Wilson, let's talk about this love triangle that was taking place. You've got 3 people involved, right? You've got the murder victim, Mo Wilson. You've got Caitlyn Armstrong, who has a boyfriend named Colin Strickland. And is Colin connected to both women? Yeah, well, he's Caitlyn's boyfriend, but he also had a relationship with the victim here. Talk about motive. Talk about a reason for taking another life. Not that it's a justification, but it's to get you inside the mind of a killer and try to prove that someone had a reason to commit the murder, had opportunity to do it, and you've got the evidence to back it up. So let's learn a little bit more about this story. Joy Lim Nakrin, Court TV legal correspondent, has the story for us tonight.
Nice work, guys, come on!
These cyclists working their way up the hill are participating in Gravel Locos, a 150-mile gravel bike ride located 2 hours outside of Austin, is where Anna Moriah Wilson was headed on May 14th.
After just 2 seasons, she rose to the top of both mountain and gravel racing in the nation.
She had kind of just started being at the top level, and at 25 years old, for sure, her career was just getting started.
But that promising future was cut short. Moriah Wilson was found shot to death a few days before that race.
On May 11th, 2022, Moriah passed away in Austin, Texas, while she prepared to compete in the Gravel Locos bike race.
Now cyclists have gathered to remember the rising star, holding a short ride in her honor. According to court documents, officers responded to a residence where Wilson was observed lying on the bathroom floor, covered in blood. She was later pronounced dead. Investigators think she may have been the victim of a jealous rival. Wilson had dated pro cyclist Colin Strickland, who, according to Wilson's friend, had an on-again, off-again relationship with another cyclist, Caitlyn Armstrong. Police reports state that Armstrong had discovered Strickland was having a romantic relationship with Wilson, even though Armstrong and Strickland were still dating. Armstrong was so angry, Armstrong wanted to kill Wilson. Strickland, in a statement to an Austin American-Statesman reporter, said he only dated Wilson a week or so before he and Caitlyn reconciled their relationship, though he says he continued to see Mo at cycling events and in public settings. Armstrong, who was interviewed by police, rolled her eyes in an angry manner at this. On the day of Wilson's death, Strickland confirmed they were together swimming at a local pool and later grabbed a bite to eat. Armstrong, on the other hand, was not seen with Wilson that day, but the car she drives, a 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee, was captured on surveillance footage at the house where Wilson was staying. In her police interview, Armstrong made no effort to deny this and provided no explanation as to why her vehicle was there. Partway through this interview, Armstrong requested to leave and was allowed to do so. The suggestion that Wilson may have been part of a love triangle prompted the family to state that she was not in a relationship at the time of her death. But that has not stopped investigators from charging Armstrong with first-degree murder.
We're here today to say that the violence that took the life of Mo was not okay, and we are not okay.
Armstrong is considered a fugitive and is wanted by police. U.S. Marshals have tracked her movements from Austin to Houston to New York and are still looking to confirm her location.
We're searching to find out where did she go when she landed in New York. From that point is the unknown right now.
Her father has not heard from her, but still believes her innocence.
We would like to be left to be able to focus on Caitlyn's safety and proving her innocence.
Love triangle. That's what we're talking about here. And you've got a suspect, someone investigators believe is responsible for this murder, who has fled. We're going to talk about the the search a little bit later in the program, but I want to begin on what happened in Texas. So I'm going to bring in Court TV field producer Adrian Luis, who is joining us tonight live from Los Angeles, California, who was on the ground taking a look at everything in this case. Great to see you, Adrian. Off the top, I wanted to focus on these relationships because I think it's really the key to understanding this case and understanding the evidence and everything else. I was reading the affidavit and application for arrest warrant. I want to put it up on the screen because I think it's pretty significant when it talks about Colin Strickland, the man in the middle of this triangle. Strickland advised he currently lives with his girlfriend, Caitlyn Armstrong. Strickland stated they had been dating for approximately 3 years, but briefly ended their relationship for 1 to 2 weeks, just 1 to 2 weeks in October of 2021. During Armstrong and Strickland's breakup, he met the victim, Mo Wilson. Wilson and Strickland then had a romantic relationship before Strickland ultimately began dating Armstrong again. Okay, Adrian, this sounds just a little bit too much like Ross on Friends, that they were on a break when all this happened. What were you able to find out about the relationship and how truthful folks think Colin Strickland is being about the nature of his relationship with the victim here?
Well, Vinny, according to that same affidavit for an arrest warrant, you'll also see that an anonymous caller called into police and talked about what Caitlyn had told them back in January, and that was that she had received information that Colin was in fact not just seeing herself, but was seeing Mo at the same time. And this anonymous caller went on to say that this infuriated Caitlyn and caused her to state that she was going to kill Mo.
So
whatever happened to getting mad at the guy? Because if I was in that situation, if that was my situation, I would be assuming that Anna or Mo didn't probably know about Caitlyn when she was dating Colin. He probably didn't even tell her what was going on. He probably led her to believe that there was no other woman. The same way he was doing with Caitlyn. Because to me, Mo looks like a girl that's not going to be with a guy that has a girlfriend or has any ties to a girl. I just don't see that in her. I've only been researching this case for 1 day, but I swear to y'all, I've been in here for 8 hours, haven't looked at anything but this case. And I feel like after reading all of the documents I could read and like reviewing everything, I just feel like looks like she's a nice person. Like she has good morals. I just don't see her doing that. I don't know. Then Colin, you got him texting the girlfriend on the way home saying, I was just helping a friend. And she's in the neighborhood. Caitlyn knows. Caitlyn probably checks his phone every night when he's asleep. Every night he goes to bed, he probably thinks he's counting sheep, and she's putting her, the phone up to his face and unlocking it and stuff. So bet you. Because that's probably how she found out, was through his phone, is what I'm going to assume.
What you're saying is, well, Colin is back with Caitlyn Armstrong. She finds out and suspects that something is going on. Now, Mo Wilson she lives in San Francisco, doesn't she? I mean, she's not from the same place. So this is, how much time do we think that they could have potentially been spending together, Anna Moriah Wilson, also known as Mo, and Colin, if they're living in different places?
Well, Colin stated that he had seen Mo in public settings. He had also stated to police that when he was seeing Mo for about a week or so, this was back in October or November of 2021. And then when Caitlyn, according to this anonymous caller, had found out about his relationship with Mo back in January of this year, it seemed to have continued up until May of this year when Mo was found shot to death in a residence in Austin, Texas.
We have a statement here from Colin Strickland I want to show everyone from reporter Tony Platetsky. After our brief relationship in October of 2021, we were not in a romantic relationship, only a platonic and professional one. It was not my intention to pursue along an auxiliary romantic relationship that would mislead anyone. Now, I want to put up on the screen something else from the application for the arrest warrant and the affidavit, which really is interesting when you put it in context with the statement from Colin saying that he doesn't want to mislead anyone. Strickland advised he stopped his motorcycle and sent a text message from his phone to Armstrong at 8:36. This text message stated the following, and this he's sending to his girlfriend, right? To Caitlin.
Correct.
Hey, are you out? I went to drop some flowers for Allison at her son's house up north and my phone died. Heading home unless you have another food suggestion.
What was he going to do? Eat some more food? He was going to eat again? Wow. He was going to eat again. Okay.
He basically lied about his whereabouts to Armstrong to hide that he was actually with Wilson. So while he's not misleading anyone, he's misleading Caitlin.
And Vinny, this actually plays into the timeline of things where when he was texting Caitlin, he was on his way home. And then after he arrived home, Caitlin arrived home after him, but it was her 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokee that seemed to be spotted at the residence that Mo was staying at that time.
So he drops her off. It's a motorcycle date, right? Picked her up on the motorcycle?
Yes.
Drops her off, and then I guess he's got to pull over to the side of the road, do a little texting to the girlfriend that I live with to try to cover my tracks. Oh yeah, my phone died. There's a lot of problems here with, you're investigating a case, you need everyone to kind of tell the truth about what's really happening, and I don't know if that's necessarily happening. Adrian, you were there. How did this impact the community and the families? I mean, this is a horrible murder.
Well, the Austin cycling community is certainly a very, very tight-knit community, Vinny. They seem to all hang out at the same spots, attend the same races, and really encourage each other to get better at their craft. And upon hearing about Mo Wilson's death, they put together a short community ride and memorial to memorialize her. And at this memorial, they certainly spoke about her achievements in the gravel racing scene and how she was on her way to becoming one of the best cyclists in the country. And then they put together a short ride that ended up at the pool where she was last spotted with Colin Strickland.
And when you were on the ground there in Texas, was there anything that really surprised you or you're like, wow, how about that? I wasn't expecting that.
Sure. It was not on my radar that the Austin cycling scene was such a big deal in the country. It is where Lance Armstrong is based, and that's where nearby where he grew up. And he also started a local bike shop and cafe where cyclists would attend. It is certainly also, Austin is a beautiful place for cyclists to ride. There are various terrains that they can, cover. And I guess going back to what I said before, the cycling community is so welcoming and so encouraging, and that is what has allowed it to grow so much in Austin.
Final question, because everybody's thinking it right now. You just said the name Lance Armstrong. The suspect in this case, Caitlyn Armstrong, both cyclists. Is there any connection between those two?
Not that I'm aware of, Vinny.
Okay. I didn't think so, but I just wanted to make sure. Adrian, Luis, thank you so much. Great to see you. Thank you for that reporting. I want to bring in our next guest. Joining us in Middlebury, Vermont, is the editor of Vermont Sports and Vermont Ski and Ride magazine. Lisa Lynn is with us tonight. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us. You're in Vermont. What is the connection here? And I want to talk about the victim in the case. What's her connection to Vermont?
So Moriah Wilson was a Vermonter through and through. She grew up in the Northeast Kingdom, which is a beautiful rural area, northeast corner of Vermont, bordering on Canada. Her father taught at the Burke Mountain Academy. He was a former Olympic caliber ski racer. He raced on the World Cup and probably could have gone to the Olympics. She grew up in just this outdoorsy, very tight community. There were only about 2,000 residents in Burke. And it's also home to Kingdom Trails, which are fantastic mountain biking trails. And those were her playground. That's her with her bike when she was 7 years old. And she and her brother Matt would go out and ride the trails. And they would also, train and compete in skiing. In fact, she was an extremely good ski racer. And in high school was, I think, third in the nationals. And she probably could have gone on to be an even better ski racer, but she suffered 2 ACL injuries. Still, she was very determined. I talked to one of her coaches for our story in Vermont Sports Magazine, and he said that he would take his kids, boys and girls, out for training rides, and Mo would outpace him and most of the boys.
Unbelievable photographs that we have that you're sharing. Let me ask you, Lisa, how's her family doing? The prime of your life, she's, just doing so much and really like on her way to great things. How are they holding up these days?
I think it's just been an incredible blow to all of them. And I must say the one thing which I really took away from speaking with her family was that she really was the product of amazing upbringing. Her parents really encouraged her. I think, she went to Dartmouth, she graduated with an engineering degree, and she said to her mom, I want to go be a professional cyclist. At the time, she had not been competing. It's a little bit like somebody saying, I've been running 10Ks and I want to go out for the Olympic marathon. And her mother, Karen Wilson, to her credit, said, great, I believe in you, I'm supporting you, and I'm connecting you with a coach. And literally 2 years later, Moriah Wilson was close to the top of the world in terms of gravel riding. Again, it's sort of like somebody running 10Ks and then jumping in and winning the New York Marathon.
Using that term, what exactly is it? A different type of bike riding? Can you describe it for the folks at home? And for me, please?
Moriah was very good at pretty much every sport. She grew up mountain biking, which is basically, taking big knobby tires and going off-road on all sorts of technical trails. And she was also getting to the top of what's become a very competitive arena, which is called gravel riding. And gravel riding can be anything from riding, gravel roads to really riding very tough off-road conditions. And the races she was competing in were 100 miles or longer. They often involve crossing streams, going up mountains, coming down very loose dirt and gravel and rocks. And she just had an unbelievable endurance. I think she first rose to prominence when she was second in the Leadville 100. That's a 100-mile mountain bike race in Colorado.
Really an amazing, amazing young woman. We talk about Dartmouth Engineering School, and I want to be a professional cyclist, and boom, she's a professional cyclist doing amazingly. An incredible loss for.
She was also just a nice person.
Of course.
One of the things that struck me was after one of the races that she did. I'm sorry.
We have a little delay,
but go ahead. After one of the races that she did, she finished second. And she came back after showering and waited for the very last racer to finish at 11:30 p.m. at night.
Amazing. Lisa Lynn, editor of Vermont Sports Magazine, appreciate your time tonight. Great reporting on this. And we'll keep in touch because we're going to stay on top of this story because there's still a suspect on the loose that needs to be brought to justice. Thank you so much. When we come back, folks, we're going to take you to the scene. We're going to take a look at the evidence. We're going to bring in our investigators. Do they have enough to prove that Caitlyn Armstrong is responsible?
Look at how small that house is. I wonder the square footage of it. Like, I'm really, really curious to know the square footage of this home, because she was chased through the house to where she went to the bathroom. I think that's where she was located, the bathroom. Yeah. You wouldn't have a chance to even get anywhere in this place. It would be, that's just that's so terrible for her. It just looks so tiny to me. I don't even know if it has a basement or not. I'm assuming it does.
How does it all line up? What is the timeline? You'll find out when we come back.
Where your hard work pays off.
We're here in memory of Mo Wilson, a professional gravel and mountain bike racer. She had kind of just started being at the top level, and at 25 years old, for sure, her career was just getting started. So it's so tragic for her to be taken from us so early in her life like that.
That was one of the cyclists at the memorial for Mo Wilson, who was gunned down. Now, investigators suspect her friend's girlfriend, and again, the exact nature, or maybe it's her ex, boyfriend's girlfriend, however you want to say it. There was some sort of love triangle going on here. What I want to do is walk through the timeline here so you have a better idea of what happened at exactly what point, because investigators released a lot of this information. We went through the court documents, the affidavits, etc. So let's begin. May 11th, 2022, 5:45 p.m. Colin Strickland, the man in the middle of the triangle, the love triangle, says that he picked up Mo Wilson, the victim, from Cash's house. Cash is Mo Wilson's friend that she was staying with. Her first name is also Caitlin. 10 minutes later, Caitlin Cash receives an electronic door notification that the door is locked. So we believe that is the time that Mo leaves with Colin on his motorcycle. 8:16 p.m., Strickland and Wilson, Colin and Mo, leave the parking lot of Pool Burger on Strickland's motorcycle. So Colin's got the motorcycle, Mo is with them. 8:16, they're leaving after having a burger, after going swimming. 10 minutes later, Caitlyn Armstrong, again, this is Colin's live-in girlfriend. Her vehicle drives northbound on Maple Avenue and then westbound on East 18th Street. 9 minutes later, Colin Strickland on his motorcycle drives northbound through the alleyway north of East 18th Street. Now the key times, 8:36. The unique code given to Wilson is used to unlock Cash's door. That means Mo Wilson has now made it back to the house that she is staying at 8:36. A minute after Strickland drives northbound through an alleyway. 8:36.
So the Caitlyn that they're talking about in this instance is going to be a different Caitlyn. So when they refer to the girl that Mo was staying with, that's going to be Caitlin Cash. The picture I showed you earlier, the girl that murdered her is Kaitlin Armstrong. I know it's very confusing, but her name will also be spelled C, like Caitlin with a C, Caitlin Cash, CC. I don't know if that'll help. But I saw the comment. I was like, oh, no, it's a different one. Different Caitlin.
1 minute later, Caitlin Armstrong's vehicle appears to stop at Caitlin Cash's residence. That is the home where Mo Wilson was staying, where she had just been dropped off minutes before by Caitlin's boyfriend, Colin. Let me bring in tonight's guest to help work through some of the evidence in this case. Joining me in Atlanta, Georgia, former special agent in charge from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Trebor Randall. In Salt Lake City, Utah, private investigator Jason Jensen. And in Los Angeles, California, forensic psychiatrist, trial expert witness, and columnist Dr. Carol Lieberman. Before I get to my investigators, Dr. Carol Lieberman, talk to me about jealousy, about cheating, and how we go from that to a potential motive for murder.
Well, at the center of this, and I actually thought about the Friends episode as well, but he is a lot more, much more of a liar, whereas Ross wasn't. He was just kind of caught in a bad situation. But Colin is obviously in the middle of this. He lied to both of the women at different times. He lied to Caitlyn that night, talking about he was going to bring somebody flowers and so on, and his phone supposedly died, although then he texted her, so that didn't make any sense. And she apparently didn't trust him. I mean, she had found out earlier that he had seen Mo, and she didn't believe him that night. So she must have been following them, or else she couldn't have gotten to the house a minute later. You know, that's not a coincidence that she was there 1 minute later. And then poor Mo, first of all, I think that Colin is trying to sort of minimize what their relationship was. You know, it was only for a week, and then, then after that it was platonic. Well, clearly Mo didn't think it was platonic, and I know that her family gave this statement and saying that she really wasn't in a relationship, but she, from her texts, apparently she thought she was. So he was juggling both of these women at the same time. And as often happens, although unfortunately not often murder, but the two women, came in clash, had a clash, and Caitlyn was, trying to. I mean, one of the interesting things is that there were multiple gunshots. So she was really angry. Now, she had been in a relationship with him for 3 years before this. And then they had their break, and then, Mo went back to California. And then when he saw her again, so he was seeing her, he saw her at cycling events. He was continuing. I don't believe that it was just platonic. He was continuing a relationship all along. And Caitlyn suspected that. So, because that just shows all the fury, all of these multiple gunshot wounds.
Absolutely. Trebor Randall, getting back to the timeline now. Dr. Carol Lieberman makes a great point. Do you think that day that it is possible that Caitlyn Armstrong was following Colin and Mo on that motorcycle, or is there some other way that she could suddenly, or her vehicle suddenly show up just like a minute or two after she gets home?
I think there's a strong chance that they were being followed without knowing it. Certainly in this day and age, regular civilians have gotten wind to all these different devices you can use now to track your family members' movement. Most of the time, the products are marketed for legitimate reasons, but oftentimes they're used in cases like this where you have the jealous lover, if you will, or worse, someone who may be a sexual predator. But I certainly think she knew exactly what was going on, and unfortunately, she was just waiting for the right moment to take action. We've seen this any number of times when you have these, sort of love triangles, we call them, that go sideways. I would venture to say it probably wasn't the first time something like this had happened, that she even had a need to feel like she wanted to follow them or follow her boyfriend to see if he was being faithful to her.
Jason Jensen, I want to put something else up on the screen here from the affidavit for probable cause involving firearms. Another big piece of the evidence in this case. Strickland, again, Colin Strickland, admitted to purchasing 2 firearms approximately between December of 2021 and January of 2022. That is after this little we were on a break moment, right? One for himself and one for his live-in girlfriend, Caitlyn Armstrong. Strickland advised that he purchased a Springfield Armory handgun for himself and a Sig Sauer handgun for Armstrong, Sig Sauer P360. I know nothing about guns. By the way, so I may be not pronouncing this correctly, but the Sig Sauer P365 9mm belonging to Armstrong, which was recovered from Strickland's residence, was test fired using laboratory ammunition. The fired test cartridge was compared microscopically to the shell cases located next to the body. An investigative lead was developed through the correlation review of ballistic evidence, the potential that the same firearm was involved is significant. So, Jason Jensen, here's where I want to leave this. You've got the gun, but whose hand was it in? Was it in Colin's hand or was it in Kaitlin? If this is the weapon, I mean, he bought it. He said he bought it for her, but that's based upon what he's saying.
Right, yeah. I mean, definitely both had access to those guns. Certainly, Strickland is familiar with the 6 Sauer, so you have to ask yourself from a defense perspective, was this a weapon fired by Armstrong or was it fired by Strickland? And is this an attempt to blame Armstrong for the murder where Strickland could have been guilty of it? But it seems like all the other evidence seems to be piling up on Armstrong otherwise, because she had a clear opportunity to explain why her Jeep was there and some other significant situations, and she refused to answer. So it definitely sounds like she's hiding, failing to reveal some innocent reason why her Jeep was at the residence. And we do know Strickland was operating his motorcycle, so chances are he wasn't driving a motorcycle and trying to drive a Jeep at the same time.
Yeah, and another big aspect of all of this, she fled. She's in the wind. She is wanted tonight. I want to thank Dr. Carol Lieberman for helping us out tonight. We'll see you again real soon. Trebor, Jason Jensen staying with us as we take a look next at the search for Caitlyn Armstrong. Plus, coming up next hour.
That was the end of that episode there, but that would get us a little good standing, I guess, a little platform to stand on, I guess, because like this case is a very, it is a little bit confusing. So I'll go through the names a little bit again with you guys, because I know that there's 2 Caitlyns. So Caitlyn Armstrong is the one that we need to, I guess, that's the one that is in jail right now, charged for the crime. The other Caitlyn, actually up really quick, because this would just make it easier for all of us. We went over this in the beginning, but this will just help for everybody. This is Caitlyn. This is the one that's in jail. She's the one that tried to escape the other day. Again, she fled to Costa Rica when they had a warrant out for her arrest. And then she's been sitting in jail since June of 2022. And she convinced the officers today to let her go, or the other day to let her go to the doctors to be seen by a specialist instead of just being seen by someone at the jail for an injury on her leg. That she said she had to her leg. And she booked it out of there. She ran. So if you guys didn't get to see that clip, we played it in the beginning of the live, because she is an athlete of her own. So they're all athletes. So she was almost out of there. I think they said she was out of their custody for 10 minutes, which, I mean, that's a lot longer than I would have been. So the second person here, this is going to be Colin Strickland, and this is the boyfriend. And then Mo Wilson is going to be the victim. And then this is the other Caitlyn. So Mo and Caitlyn were living there. She was staying with Caitlyn. That's how they were connected. So she was staying there for, I thought it was on camera. She was staying there because she was getting ready to do a bike. Like a marathon, or that's not what it's called, but triathlon. I don't know what it's called when you bike, but she was doing a biking excursion. I've only been biking a couple times. I've done mountain biking before with a friend that was really good at it. I couldn't do it, but they do look like different people. They do. Yeah. That's what I was like. They really do. She dyed her hair and she got her nose done there, I think, but I don't see that. I don't see the nose difference. I don't know. She had red hair. She has red hair naturally, I think. So her new charge, I had all my red flags sitting here for Caitlyn. Let me put those back there so I don't burn the place down. I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit with my trackpad so we can see it. If it won't pop up, there we go. So it's just escape, cause bodily injury, 2nd degree felony. It says new warrant, class B or above, $50,000 bond, which What? Why would you even have a bond if you escaped? Like, let's just say she was in there for a DUI offense, something small, mine, compared relative to murder. And she escaped, and it was escape by causing bodily injury. I still would think she would have no bond. You're not going to let her get out so she can run again. But that's what it has on there. The next one I'm going to show to you. This is going to be the affidavit that the officers put in for her escaping. So I don't know if it'll blow up any more than that. I don't think it will. But it says, during the foot pursuit, officers advised, let me see here. Make sure I'm on the camera there. Advised inmate Armstrong removed her county-issued black and white striped uniform pants, which revealed she was wearing thermal pants underneath in an effort to disguise her appearance as an inmate. Inmate Armstrong was also able to manipulate her left hand from the hand restraints to assist her in her attempted escape. During the investigation of the escape, video footage from the Travis County Correctional Complex was reviewed, which showed inmate Armstrong exercising vigorously throughout the last several months. Inmate Armstrong can be seen running, doing squats, and yoga throughout her day room and recreation time. So with that being said right there, why didn't they check the cameras before they let her out of the jail to see how she hurt herself? Like, she's saying she hurt herself, right? She's got this injury. She's got to go to the doctor. Okay, well, I'm going to go review all of the cameras that we have in this place, except for in the showers. They probably even have them there too. Hell, I don't know, because it's the jail. Yeah, they probably got them there too. And I'm going to go figure out where you fell or how you hurt yourself. And then they would have found her doing some running, squats, yoga. And they would have realized, like, she's just trying to get out of here to, like, do something. They would have known. During the investigation of the escape, inmate Armstrong's cell was searched by correctional staff, and a metal pen and dental floss were recovered from her cell. The metal pen had been broken off, providing a solid, thin metal piece that likely could be used to manipulate a handcuff to be removed. Well, she forgot to take that with her. During the investigation of the escape, affiant received information from correctional staff at TCCC that inmate Armstrong had recently utilized an injury complaint to secure an outside medical appointment, as well as a medical request restricting the use of leg restraints. Due to the recent activity of exercising vigorously and complaints of injury to secure off-site medical appointments and restrictions of leg restraints, affiant has reason to believe and does believe inmate Armstrong planned to escape from custody. She almost did. Oh, man. Oh, so yeah, my camera, it wasn't broke. It wasn't the camera. It was StreamYard. StreamYard had a problem. They did an update, and it was these new emoji things. So if I were to, like, do this, like with my thumbs up, it would make this bubble with a thumbs up. We ain't doing that on this channel. I don't do emojis like that. I don't want stuff like popping up if I do a thumbs up, like, boop, boop. So it was making my camera go out, because my camera, I think, was going like, what is Tanya doing to me? So yeah, I was like, I don't want to do that over here. They started some different things on StreamYard. A couple different things, like, they rolled out, like, if you guys notice, like, my background right now, I have like these little lights. I've always had this still background. You can do like videos now in the background, but I feel like that would just be too much going on, to where if you're doing a video and then a video on top of that, that would just be too much. So plus I think it would make me feel seasick. But I'm going to go ahead and play. This is the newest Nancy Grace that came out. So this is going to be going over Kaitlyn's escape attempts. So her newest ones today. And then on our next live, we'll go back, we'll read through like the PCA, and we'll get like that. There's a lot of really, really good stuff in there. Like, it's detailed, so we'll be able to really get a good feel for this case, because it's going to take us a little, a few lives to, get familiar with it. But she does start her trial October 30th. So that's probably why she fled. I'm just saying. But I listened to this earlier, and Nancy, she was in rare form. She was making me laugh. She was making me giggle, just because, this is going over the escape attempt. I'm going to play this. It's going to, go to commercial. So I'm going to fast forward it through, and then I'll put like some pictures or overlays over. I do have a few that I was able to grab for this case. So that way you're not just looking at a blank screen. And I'll be in the chat with you guys.
If you're
and thank you in here. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button. If you like the content, appreciate today's case coverage, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. We're here every evening, usually 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I've been a little over the place the last couple of days with the 5 o'clock live and the 4 o'clock live, but we're normally here at 8:15. Thank you, Jan, for gifting a membership. And look, DM got it. Look at that. And look, I could put it up here now. I like doing that. That's really awesome. That we can like appreciate the gifted memberships now. We used to not be able to do that. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward through the commercial.
If you're a smoker looking, if you order food,
When I drive with, it's time.
it's Caitlin.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
Caitlyn Armstrong, Caitlyn Armstrong, Caitlyn Armstrong. Well, she's at it again. Does the name ring a bell? Because I will never forget it. The other name I will not forget is Moriah Mo Wilson. Coming back to you. Mo Wilson is the beautiful young 25-year-old world champion cyclist. Yeah. She's dead because according to prosecutors, Caitlyn Armstrong, the glam yoga teacher, murdered her in cold blood over some guy. What? There's not another guy you could date? Out of all the men in the world, you have to go kill somebody over a man? Well, I'd love to analyze that with my longtime friend and colleague, Karen Stark, psychologist joining us out of Manhattan. But you know what? I've got a bigger problem right now. My problem? Caitlyn Armstrong escapes. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. You know, we've heard that the boyfriend, the love object of these two ladies, went into hiding after one girlfriend ends up murdered and the other one goes on the lam wanted for that murder. He better just stay in hiding because this woman somehow manages to escape. Listen to our friends KVUE.
It was around 8 this morning when deputies from the Travis County Jail took Caitlyn Armstrong to a medical appointment in South Austin. Officials say it was after the appointment, on her way back to the patrol car, that they say Armstrong broke free from those deputies and bolted. This was happening in this area near South 1st Street and Ben White.
We're learning Caitlyn Armstrong was leaving a doctor's appointment here at a medical office in South Austin when she took off from two Travis County corrections officers, leading them on a chase through a residential neighborhood. According to a Travis County Sheriff's Office spokesperson, two deputies escorted Caitlyn Armstrong to a doctor's appointment Wednesday morning. As they were leaving, Armstrong made a break for it and ran away from those deputies.
Number one, why was she being taken to a medical facility? What's happening? Because there is a medical staff at the jail and at the prison. Was this all planned so she could elude law enforcement? Take a listen to more XAN.
Suspect was last seen wearing a black and white standard inmate uniform. Deputy chasing an inmate in the area. Several units are en route to assist.
You're hearing radio traffic there from the chaotic few minutes. A spokesperson for the sheriff's office could not tell us what kind of restraints or specific security measures were taken prior to transporting her here to the medical office building. But that spokesperson did tell us officers are informed of an inmate's history before any type of transport like this. Armstrong was on the run for over a month before authorities were able to apprehend her at a hotel in Costa Rica, taking her into custody and bringing her back to the U.S. in June of 2022 to face now a federal charge of misusing a passport. And on top of that, of course, the murder charge in the death of well-known cyclist Mo Wilson. Wilson was found dead in an East Austin home last year.
So somehow she manages to mastermind an escape. With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. Alexis Tereszcuk joining us, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. Alexis, how in the world did Caitlyn Armstrong manage to get away from multiple deputies?
Well, first of all, she managed to convince the jail that she needed to have special attention. You know, jails have medical, they have a hospital, they have doctors, they have nurses, they have people that take care of you. She managed to convince the people in the jail that she needed medical attention at St. David's Medical Center in Austin, which is about 10 miles away from the jail. So she plotted to leave the jail and to go get medical attention. So she goes to this appointment. They are walking her back to the car, and that is when she escapes. It wasn't underground parking. It was out in just a regular parking lot, open air parking lot. And that's when she got away from them and booked it, took off running away from the cops.
Now, let me understand. So she's going to a medical appointment after she somehow convinces them. And obviously, it's not a medical emergency because she's walking and talking. So we know she didn't stay overnight at a hospital. She didn't have outpatient surgery because she's just fine. I'm very curious about how she convinced them that she should get out of the facility, the CI Correctional Institute. With me, Nicole DeBorge Hotchglobe, criminal defense attorney in this jurisdiction and former prosecutor. Nicole, how did she do it?
You know, it's a difficult situation for the jails because they are not a medical facility. They are obligated under the Jail Standards Commission to keep their inmates healthy and safe so that she can go to trial on her designated trial date. And if whatever she's got ailing her is beyond the staff's capacity, the medical staff's capacity, they are obligated to make sure that she stays healthy so that the case can move forward. So I don't know the nature of the medical problem, or we may never know because of HIPAA constraints. But the jail really has to take these kinds of things quite seriously.
Well, we are now learning that it was a, quote, doctor's appointment. We're also learning, and anybody, if you know anything better, more accurate, let me know, she was being chaperoned by 2 correction officers back to the transport vehicle. And somehow she manages to elude them. You would think they would all be on high alert after the headlines for the last 2 or 3 weeks have talked about the escape by Cavalcante, who spider walked up the wall of the jail in the courtyard and managed to escape. Take a listen to our friend 6ABC.
Cavalcante escaped Chester County Prison. Since then, the guard in the tower that day has been fired. Cavalcante was about to serve a life sentence for killing his ex-girlfriend. He was also wanted for a 2017 homicide in his native Brazil. His ex-girlfriend's family still resides in the area, as well as Cavalcante's relatives.
Officials also confirming today that Cavalcante's sister has been arrested. It's not clear if that is because she was assisting him or if this is over a visa issue.
So we've just managed to somehow get Cavalcante back behind bars. And this is a guy that has not 1 but 2 known murders under his belt under very different circumstances. One, he murdered a guy back home in his native country, Brazil, and then comes here and murders his girlfriend in front of her little children because she threatened, if you don't quit beating me, I'm telling the cops you're wanted for murder in Brazil. So he killed her in front of her children. And this is the guy that manages to literally crawl out of the jail. And it's not the first time a daring escape has been made. Does the name Casey White ring a bell? Take a listen to our cut 31 from WAAY.
After more than 72 hours of this now major crime investigation by the U.S. Marshals and other federal partners, is that there is now a warrant out for Vicky White, a warrant for her role in this escape. They now say that she was involved in the escape, and they have a warrant for her arrest as well as they continue their search for this accused murderer, Casey White, here in Lauderdale County, now a manhunt that reaches across the entire country. The sheriff confirming for us that they now believe the two had some sort of romantic relationship and that Vicky White was involved in this escape.
Today, whether that
a smoker looking for bleep, pop one in your upper.
But every family, finally,
a part of it. And
with Nancy Grace.
Joining me right now, a man who knows about prison transport very, very well, Christopher Byers, now private investigator with Byers Investigative Services and former police chief in Johns Creek. You can find him at byersinvestigative.com. Chris, when you see a prison van going down the interstate, notice the inmates aren't moving in the back of that van because they're shackled. They're shackled down, and there is a steel mesh wall between them and the driver. There are reasons that so much attention is given to transporting inmates. Look, people may call this woman a glam yoga instructor, but according to prosecutors, she chased down Moriah through the home where Moriah was staying, cornered her in the bathroom, and shot her dead. That's who we're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you are taking prisoners outside of your facility, that is the time to be on the highest alert. And yes, just like you said, when they're in the transport vans, they are shackled. They're not, they're shackled into their seats, not moving. And so whenever you're outside, whenever you have to take them to these medical appointments, which happens all the time, when the facilities can't, handle whatever the issue is, and there's the outside doctors, but that's the time that you've got to be on the highest alert because, again, you're taking them out into the community they're from. You have to make sure of where family members live, that you're not going in those vicinities, keeping the appointments secret. So, yes, that is the time to be on your A game when you're outside of your facility.
So we're trying to figure out how in the world this managed to happen. Take a listen to our friends at KXAN.
The Travis County Sheriff's Office says they'll be reviewing this chase, though, this situation, an attempted escape from today, to try to determine what could be done to prevent something similar from happening in the future.
So we have to modify our security protocols and the things that we use to restrain people in our custody based on the medical issue they're dealing with. And so it varies from person to person.
They did say every situation was different, so we'll definitely be following up there to hear what they learn from their review. We know that she is still set to appear potentially in court for the trial that's set to begin on October 30th.
Alexis Tereszcek joining us, crimeonline.com. Isn't it true that Caitlyn Armstrong, the so-called glam yoga teacher turned killer, escaped in a residential area?
She did. The hospital is in a residential area. She jumped over a fence. She scaled the fence. She grabbed up by the top and she used her legs and she jumped right over it. And this was a neighborhood. So she ran into the neighborhood and she was totally, the cop that was chasing her falls. As the police officer is running up the hill to chase her, she falls, and that gives her the extra time to jump over the fence and run into the neighborhood.
I'm coming at this from a very unusual angle, and that angle is from living through the escape of Brian Nichols, the Fulton County Courthouse shooter. Brian Nichols was facing a rape charge, as I recall it. And as he was being transported up an elevator to the courtroom, he overpowered the female sheriff who was armed. He got into the judge's chambers. He shot down my longtime friend and colleague, Judge Roland Barnes. He murdered my court reporter. He attacked others. He escaped the building. On the run, he killed somebody else and held a woman hostage in her home. I'm leading up to a point, a residential area where this woman escaped. Nicole DeBoard Hotchglobe, a veteran trial lawyer in this jurisdiction, she may look like a glam yoga instructor, but according to the prosecution, she is a cold-blooded killer. You don't think she would kill somebody else, some mom at home packing lunches for school in order to get her car and take off? Hell yes, she would, Nicole.
You know, the jail really does, and law enforcement really does, have to treat every single defendant charged with a serious crime such as this exactly the same. And that is to make the assumptions that you're making that they are potentially dangerous. They're charged with serious violent felonies. She's, in this case, charged with a serious violent felony of murder. Her possible sentence, if she's convicted, is quite long. It could be the rest of her life. And so this makes her particularly dangerous, and law enforcement really does have an obligation to exercise all precautions to make sure that these people, of course, don't escape, and that they are keeping the other inmates and the people who have to work around those inmates safe around those individuals.
Well, why now? Why now? Why try to escape now? Why arrange this doctor's visit where you have to leave the facility, the CI Correctional Institution, on this particular day? Well, I think I know why. I'm going to cut 110B as in brother. Take a listen to our friends at Fox 7.
This comes just weeks before Armstrong's murder trial is set to be presented to a jury on October 30th. Armstrong is accused of murdering cyclist star Anna Moriah Wilson back in May of 2020 due to what investigators are saying was over a love triangle between Armstrong, Wilson, and Armstrong's boyfriend at the time, Colin Strickland. Armstrong's initial arrest wasn't easy. Law enforcement officials spent a total of 43 days looking for Armstrong before she was arrested in Costa Rica and brought back to Texas.
So when you're thinking about timing, why try to escape now? Because she's going to court for a jury trial. And once she is convicted, and I think she will be, she will no longer be at the county jail. Think Mayberry and Otis. Remember? He lets himself in and out of his jail cell, and Aunt Bee brings over a nice home-cooked dinner at night. That's the county jail in a small jurisdiction. But the CI, Correctional Institute, to which she will be going, is no Mayberry. This may have been her last chance to escape, and she took it. I mean, think about it, how court proceedings looming have caused other escapes and other incidents. I'm speaking specifically about Alex Murdaugh. Remember his son, Paul, now murdered by him along with mom, Maggie? A court hearing was to be commenced the very next week after Paul had been driving drunk in a boat that resulted in the death of a teen girl, Mallory Beach. There goes all of Murdaugh's money, a long protracted trial, and an investigation into his finances. Everything, all of his financial misdeeds would have been uncovered. But guess what? Paul and Maggie were murdered just before that court proceeding. Just like here in Caitlyn Armstrong's case. She's supposed to go to trial in about 15 days. She planned this escape, and she's not the only one that plans an escape just before trial. Take a listen to our friends at KIRO. Does the name Ted Bundy jog your memory?
Understandably, security is extremely tight here at the Pensacola City Jail. On the second floor of this building, Ted Bundy is under constant guard. Authorities are very well aware of the fact that Bundy has twice escaped from jail, and now that they know who he is, they are not about to let him slip away again. When he was arrested shortly after midnight on Wednesday, he was just considered a belligerent speeder. He fought with arresting officer David Lee when Lee stopped him for speeding. Only late last night, following FBI fingerprint identification, did Pensacola police learn they had captured one of the most wanted and, according to the FBI, most dangerous criminals in the country.
That's right. They thought he was just speeding. No, he's a serial killer. Listen.
The former Tacoma and Seattle resident is a suspect in 36 sex killings in Colorado, Utah, Oregon, and Washington. And now he is being questioned in connection with 2 murders at a sorority house at Florida State University in Tallahassee. Those murders occurred just 15 days after Bundy's New Year's Eve escape from Colorado. Bundy was rearraigned here in Pensacola. When he went to court yesterday, he identified himself as Kenneth Meisner. This time, he had to admit to the fact that his name was Theodore Robert Bundy. 31 years of age. Convicted kidnapper, escapee from prison, suspected murderer. And Bundy told prison officials here, don't take it personally, but if I can escape from this prison, I will.
So in both of those cases, Cavalcante and Bundy, both defendants had already escaped. When they escaped again, Cavalcante escaped from Brazil after a murder. He goes and hides out on another island in their jungle. Then he makes it to the prize, the U.S., where he commits another murder and escapes. Bundy escapes once from the jail by climbing through an air vent. He kept losing weight until he could get through the air vent. And then again, just before trial, he's in the law library, unattended, in the courthouse, and jumps out a window. They have a track record of escape. What does that have to do with this woman, Caitlyn Armstrong, the so-called glam yoga teacher? Well, take a listen to our cut 13 from our friend Tony Plahetsky.
Armstrong fled to Costa Rica days after the shooting death of Moriah Wilson at a home in East Austin back in May. Wilson was in Austin to compete in a gravel cycling race. According to police, Armstrong stalked and killed Wilson out of jealousy of the relationship Armstrong's boyfriend had with Wilson.
Long story short, this woman led law enforcement on a wild goose chase all the way to Costa Rica. And while she's there, correct me if I'm wrong, Alexis Tereszchuk, she managed to get plastic surgery to change her nose, alter her appearance, change her profession. She was going to teach, I believe it was surfing, yoga, something like that. What do we know about her time on the run?
Well, to start with her time on the run, she was in Austin, Texas. This is where the murder was committed. Then she gets on a plane, goes to New York, and disappears. 2 months later, they find her in Costa Rica. How did she get to Costa Rica? Well, law enforcement seems to have said that she used her sister's passport. So then she gets to Costa Rica. She gets a nose job. Her nose was a little bit wider in the original pictures of her. And then it's much more slim with her mugshot. And she dyes her hair. She had this beautiful flame red hair. And then she dyed it just a very dark brown. And she started desperately trying to make money. I think she had a couple of $1,000. She had drained her bank account, police said. And maybe even her sister gave her money. We don't know. But she was working in a hostel. And she kept begging the person that owned it to give her a job. Let me teach yoga. Let me do anything. And this was in the jungle of Costa Rica, this beautiful, almost like a treehouse style place. And then she tried to teach surfing, and she was eventually caught with both of the passports, which is what the owner of the hotel where she was living said. So who knows? Maybe she had planned this and she was running in a residential area. Maybe she knew someone. Maybe somebody there was going to pick her up. She's definitely somebody who has family members who have helped her since the crime was committed.
I'm just thinking about her. Again, when you don't know a horse, look at the track record. Again, her appearances are so misleading. To special guest joining us, Dr. Tim Gallagher, medical examiner for the state of Florida, lecturer, University of Florida Medical School Forensic Medicine, and founder of the International Forensic Medicine Death Investigation Conference. Dr. Gallagher, thank you for being with us.
Always a pleasure, Nancy.
Dr. Gallagher, I want to think just one moment about Moriah Mo Wilson and what she endured. She was chased through the home after Caitlyn Armstrong got access to the home where Moriah was staying with a friend. Caitlyn Armstrong, had a weapon, a handgun. She chased her through the home, and Moriah died of multiple gunshot wounds, trapped in the bathroom. What do you believe Moriah went through before she finally bled to death?
Well, both of them are elite athletes. And I believe Moriah normally would think that her physical ability would allow her to escape from a lot of situations. But she was most likely, her heart rate was racing. She was in that fight or flight mode, and she was utilizing the flight portion of that and trying to escape. Once she got cornered into the bathroom, her heart rate, her had increased. She had increased breathing. She was sweating profusely. And I believe at that time she was shot. Reports say that she suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the head, and that that immediately killed her and put her on the floor. Once she was on the floor, she received another gunshot wound to the chest. And that bullet had gone through her entire body and out of her back and then embedded itself into the floor. So she was already incapacitated, most likely dead, but the killer wanted to be sure that she was dead and then put another bullet through her chest area after she was already on the floor. So the first impact of the bullet most likely incapacitated her, caused her to lose consciousness and fall to the floor. The second impact to the head, most likely the same thing. The heart at this point is still pumping, and so it is pumping now the blood from her body out through the wounds in her head. So any head wound that is severe bleeds profusely. The heart is still pumping the the body of blood through her head wound, and that is causing her to exsanguinate or die right there. And of course, the bullet that had gone through her torso also contributed to that fact. So, so the fight or flight, the extreme panic, and then the impact of the bullet's wound to the head, this could not have lasted any more than just a few seconds.
But the thing is, Dr. Gallagher, and you know what? I'm going to go to a shrink on this. Karen Stark joining me, renowned psychologist, joining us out of Manhattan, TV, radio, trauma expert at KarenStark.com. That's Karen with a C. Karen, everything that Dr. Gallagher just said is absolutely correct. He's saying 1 million of this type of injury and this type of homicide. I can't get past the fact that Moriah knew she was being killed. She ran. She had to see the gun. She ran through the house with Caitlyn Armstrong following her. She tried to barricade herself in the bathroom in those last few moments, trying to live. I wonder if she tried to crawl out a window, or she even had time to do that before Caitlyn was on her and gunned her down. Those were her last minutes on earth, Karen Stark.
And that's what you're talking about right now, is her emotional response. So we heard all about the physical, but just imagine the emotional response to this out of nowhere. This person is chasing her, trying to kill her, and that adrenaline is racing. So she's desperately trying to save herself with a lot of confusion. I mean, you're not clear-headed. Sometimes, maybe in a crisis, you can do amazing things. But here, she's taken by surprise, and that's how she's going to die. She's going to die not really understanding what's happening and feeling desperate, fearful, anxious, the worst that you could possibly feel as this is happening to her.
And then, to top it all off, this woman actually escapes, and there's a video of it.
Our latest episodes, us or wherever you.
Zyn, America contains nicotine.
Is it fair, dealer?
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
Alexis Tereszchuk joining me, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. You know, I don't know what time it was. You were sending me the video first thing this morning. There's actually cell phone video of Caitlyn Armstrong running through this residential area. Was she even shackled? I've watched the video over and over, and it doesn't look to me that this woman is even shackled.
No, not at all. She has taken the biggest strides you've seen. She's like a professional sprinter hauling through this neighborhood, headed towards the neighborhood. She was in the medical hospital. Somebody is filming it. She is in her prison stripes. She's in her black and white prison uniform. Couldn't look more like a prisoner at all. And she is running through this kind of wooded area, hops up over
I wouldn't
a
call
fence.
that hopping. She's scaling it. It's like she has on tennis shoes. I don't know what she's got on. She's running like crazy. No way is this woman shackled. I do think that she may have handcuffs on. Not sure about that, but I can tell you her legs aren't shackled. Did you see the sheriff? The sheriff's trying to chase her, and the sheriff falls down like 3 times. I'm going to count them. Hold on. 1 fall. Okay, get up. 2 falls. I think the sheriff falls a total of 3 times trying to chase Caitlyn Armstrong. And she's like running like a jackrabbit. And it's like, don't even look at it. Have you ever seen a cartoon, Alexis Dresser? I guess so, with your son, when cartoon characters just run up the side of a building and keep running straight up. That's what it looks like. It's like she's running. This fence looks like it's 10 feet tall, 8 feet tall. She runs right up it, grabs it with her hands, shackled or no, and she gone with the sheriff still falling down. The sheriff looks really out of shape. Okay. Note to self, put only really fit, buff sheriffs on a prison transport duty, because this sheriff cannot run and falls either 2 or 3 times. I think 3. Help me, Alexis.
I agree. I think it's 3 times, and they're.
Okay, so I have to show the picture. If I was going to be transporting an inmate, or if I was an inmate, let me show you the officer that could transport me. From the Brian Koberger case. You know who we're talking about. McStreamy over here with the arm tattoo. She wouldn't have got away. But that guy was a big guy. You saw in the beginning of the live. But I anytime I can show a picture of him, you know I will. For the ladies.
They're running up a hill. She has no problem running through this area whatsoever. Huge strides, huge sprints, and jumps over. And they police have said they had an eye on her the whole time. Well, that is a solid fence that she jumped over. So I don't really know how they had an eye on her the whole time. She disappeared over that fence.
A lot of people are writing on social. I was thinking about her and wondering when her trial would start. I'm wondering if this is somehow, Nicole DeBoer-Hotch Globe, going to delay the trial. It shouldn't. I mean, because the law is you cannot create your own problem and then use that as grounds for reversal or delay.
This is true. It is very possible that the trial will go forward as scheduled on the one hand. On the other hand, this is a pretty bizarre thing to do. So if there are any other indicators that maybe she has destabilized or is not psychologically fit to stand trial, in other words, that she may not be competent, then the attorney and the court have an obligation to have her evaluated to determine whether or not the trial should move forward. And I can see that creating the possible delay so that the evaluation could be completed.
You're right, Alexis Tereszcuk. The sheriff's office says we had our eyes on her the whole time. BS. That is a solid wood fence. She just ran straight up. They did not have their eyes on her the whole time.
No. And that's the thing is there's in fact only one police officer right behind her. See that? They say she was with 2. Well, where's the second one? And she is a dangerous criminal. She's not somebody that was arrested for shoplifting, over $1,000 worth of things and is in jail for that. This is a killer, a murderer, and they let her get away. It was just a huge security failure in my book. But the video is amazing to watch. She is so fast. She has clearly been keeping up with her workout regime behind bars. She was a yoga instructor and very fit, but she is not eating bad food and loafing around in jail. She's really staying on top of it.
I just wanted to add that if we look at this type of personality, an antisocial personality, and we think of Ted Bundy, like you mentioned, here is somebody who's very, very charming and convincing and knows how to manipulate people. I am not surprised that she was able to get herself to go, to plan all of this out. She's in great shape, and somehow got them to not pay enough attention to her.
This woman, extremely disarming. Some call her beautiful. She has managed to beg, borrow, steal, and kill her way through this entire odyssey. But don't let looks be deceiving. Think back on Cavalcante. He managed to charm his way out of Brazil, live in a jungle, for Pete's sake, and then con his way into the U.S. as an illegal immigrant, charm a girlfriend into moving in with her and her children before he murdered her. Yet everyone underestimated him, and he won them over by hook or by crook, by charm or by strong arm. Listen to our friends at CBS Philly and Fox 29.
The pain these children and all of Ms. Brandeo's loved ones are enduring as a result of the defendant's depravity is horrific. We will ensure that the defendant is brought to justice for this cold-blooded, premeditated, and despicable act.
Police arrested Cavalcante in Virginia. He already had a restraining order put in place against him.
Cavalcante was convicted earlier this month of stabbing to death his ex-girlfriend back in April of 2021 in front of her 2 young children. Last week, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He was awaiting transfer to a state prison when he broke out.
At first, I didn't think it was a big deal until I heard how dangerous the guy is. He really has nothing to lose. So this is like something that you see in the movies.
Just like Armstrong, nothing to lose. One of her last chances at freedom, and she took it. Unrestrained at the legs, she runs like an Olympian and escapes law enforcement. Speaking of underestimating and ignoring the facts, to Chris Byers, PI, owner of Byers Investigative Services, former police chief in Johns Creek. Chris, when I was hearing about Cavalcante's victims, it's not just the guy he killed in Brazil. It's not just his girlfriend. Her 3 children saw the whole thing. Her parents, her family will live with that pain forever. And in this case, as we're talking about her timing and her motives and how she did it and how she slipped away, how do you think this made Moriah Wilson's family feel? That this woman who reportedly murdered their girl in cold blood over nothing, chasing her down and murdering her, cornering her in a bathroom and shooting her dead. How do you think they feel that Armstrong is allowed all of these privileges and freedom and actually escapes?
Oh, yeah, it has to be absolutely frustrating for the family. Talking about the video, the fact that she came out of that doctor's office without any type of leg shackles on, that should have all been done inside before she was transported outside. And, you know, another big question, I will take a slight issue with our Crime Online reporter. Those were not police officers that were chasing her. They said in some of the reports that it was correctional officers. And man, when you look at, you know, what the hiring standards for just a correctional officer, they don't go through the same type of training. It would be interesting to know whether those were actual sworn deputies or correctional officers that was transporting her. But either way, policies weren't followed.
Okay, Chris Byers, you say tomato, I say tomato, because they were in charge of transporting her. They're armed, they have a gun, and they are in charge of her getting back to the jail and not hurting anybody. But no, that didn't happen. I don't care what kind of badge they're wearing. They're the ones wearing the badge, not Armstrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I can't believe you even tried that on me, Byers. They're a correctional officer. They're not a real cop. Did you want to follow up with me?
Oh, absolutely. No, and that was part of my question, is looking into this, whether they let just correctional officers take her outside of the facility, which should not be the policy. It should be sworn deputies that are taking her, you know, when you're going outside of your facility like that. That's who it should have been. But clearly, either protocols are bad or protocols were not followed for her to be able to walk out of there not having any type of restraints on her legs, clearly handcuffed in the front if she was handcuffed. I couldn't tell from the video either. It looked like she possibly was.
Yeah, I think she may have been handcuffed, but she was not leg shackled at all. She's running like an Olympic sprinter. But guys, now we're getting a little peek at where the defense is headed in this case. Take a listen to our cut 11B from Fox 7.
This case is currently under a gag order, so Armstrong's defense team couldn't provide an updated comment. But Fox 7 Austin did speak to her defense attorney, Rick Kofor, last year about the upcoming trial.
When we have that hearing, my hope is that the entirety of the early investigation of this case is exposed to the Austin community, exposed to the entire world, because the entire world should see the wrong that has been committed by the Austin Police Department in this case.
Oh, I'm so happy. It's the Austin Police Department's fault. They're the bad guy, not Caitlyn Armstrong that gunned down Moriah in cold blood. What is he talking about? Alexis Tereshchuk, what did the Austin PD do wrong according to the defense attorney? And you got to take that with a box of salt. But what are they claiming?
I believe they're claiming that there was somebody else there, that they have not connected her to the car that was her car, and that there were lots of other suspects that they have ignored completely in favor of only focusing on her unfairly, they say.
Okay, we can sort all that out at trial, and we are headed to trial, Miss Thing. You are going to trial, Caitlyn Armstrong. We wait as justice unfolds. Goodbye, friend.
Introducing Uber Teen Accounts, an Uber account for your teen with always.
Too many things to turn back on and take down. So I didn't know that, Alicia. My gosh. Maybe you did. Did you tell me that before? I feel like you did. But I don't know if you did or not. But man, you need to tell your friend, and you and your friend need to come up on panel and talk about that. That's crazy. Well, Mindy, she used to be in our chat. She knew the Night Stalker from her friend. He was actually jumped up on her like balcony one night, and she turned around and saw him and screamed, and I guess he ran. But that is crazy, Alicia. Wow. Small world. Small world. Me and my mom used to talk about Ted Bundy a lot. I don't know why. But like when we were talking about true crime stuff, because she really wasn't into true crime like I am. So she would just like talk to me about, those kind of cases, the bigger cases that she knew when she was younger. And she said that everybody thought that like Ted Bundy was, like this handsome guy, charismatic guy. And she's like, we all couldn't believe that he was the murderer that they were looking for. Like that guy, that was him. And you just never know, you never know. But that's all I have for you guys for this live. We are going to start, we'll be continuing this case. But I just wanted to get like the ice kind of broken for us a little bit because it is a lot. But I have like a whole nother show already up on my browser bar for this case, because we have the probable cause that we could go through. It was, like I said, I think it's 7 pages long. So we could go through that, and then just like the other like documents that they have out for this case. And then there's plenty of videos out there as well, because there's been a lot of coverage. I don't know. I remember hearing about this case, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe I was just working a lot back then. No, it's not doing that. That couldn't have been it, because I had my business. I mean, that's work, but it's a lot different when you have to leave the house. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I missed that one, because it's a good one. Hopefully she doesn't have another escape attempt, because we want her to be there on October 30th when court starts. So we will do a live on this, maybe tomorrow or the next day. We'll kind of break them up. I do have a couple of podcasts for Idaho 4 to show or to have you guys listen to. I did post the one that we did on our live last week or a few days ago. I posted that today. If anyone wants to watch a pre-recorded, that's available. And we do have other case updates. So we'll be here all the time, every day at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If I do come on a little bit like earlier, it'll probably be like 7:15 or 6:15. I'm trying to test out a couple different time slots, because with it getting darker sooner, I don't know if you guys are like this, but when it's like fall, like when fall hits, I think like winter hits like November, when the time changes, I always feel like I'm in bed earlier, which I could stay up later. That doesn't matter to me. But I don't know if you guys are like that, where you guys will want to go to bed earlier. So maybe if you guys are like that, we'll roll the lives back to like 7:15 or 6:15. And then that way, we can all hang together. So yes. Yeah. PCA is good. Yeah. I think that'd be good. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. If you guys don't mind just taking a second to hit the like button, you guys have y'all have liked the video tonight, and I cannot be happier for that. So thank you so much. And just subscribe to the channel. The little things that make me happy. But I'll see you guys all tomorrow night. Have a good night, guys. Bye.